Welcome to Alchemical Science. I'm Jordan, an open source researcher who investigates science that's both very old, very new, and also very esoteric. In this third part of our series on deciphering the PUM, we're going to further explore the conversion of time, the movements of the planets through space and sacred geometry, in particular Circle and the Vesica Pisces, and we're also going to see where we can find these quantisations of time well represented in two significant world scriptures along the way. Once again, I stress that I'm learning along with everyone else here. This is my Plasmoid Unification University experience, and I'm sharing the working process with the channel because I know that many others are deeply interested in gaining a better insight into Malcolm's PUM while we're still in these stages of building a solid picture. If you're not interested yet, I encourage you to hold your judgment until you begin to see the results from the independent papers and trials that'll be emerging quite soon around the practical technology. And what's most interesting about all of this is that the knowledge Malcolm's condensed into what he's named the Plasmoid Unification model actually already has an immediate practical application in the form of the Thunderbolt generator, which we've already covered. And it also lays the groundwork to understand a number of Malcolm's other future inventions, technology plans, such as the Vajra implosive static turbine or the Bendall turbine, and the world power plant and the construction of the harmonic model of the elements presented in the PUM, which if we can further verify and understand could provide the basis for almost limitless subsequent practical applications on all scales of science and industry. Remember, Alchemical Science is completely open source and independent, and if you can afford to donate a little or a lot, it will ensure I can spend as much time as possible breaking down and sharing ideas like this and working on related open source projects. And thanks very much to everyone who has already donated. I've already made some minor equipment upgrades, such as a light and a green screen, due to your generosity. In this presentation, I'm going to be using the fantastic app you can see here, Cosmic Watch, to demonstrate some key ideas related to the conversion and division of time and space using astronomy. As usual, I'm unaffiliated, but this is a really fantastic tool from a quite visionary company who clearly understands a number of the concepts that we're talking about here, and they're presenting it through advanced astronomical modeling in Cosmic Watch. And you can get that on the Android and the Apple App Store for tablet or phones. So check out the links in the description to get the app for yourself and have a play around. It has a small price tag, but what the app can teach you in a day through its simple visual interface is really invaluable. So we begin with our celestial sphere view on. All the planets are condensed into an easily viewable sphere, but their essential ratios and movements over time are maintained. So let's start by turning the planet names on, so we can see where everything is situated in the sky at this current moment. And then we can turn on the celestial rings as well, so that we can get our bearings and define the path the planets take in their orbits. We have the ability to speed up and reverse time. And the app shows us the movement of the planets around the celestial ecliptic based on advanced astrological modeling. And so this gives us the ability to fundamentally see how the planets orbit our Earth from the geocentric perspective, commonly used by both ancient and modern astronomers, and investigate the timing and the geometry involved in their orbits and the divisions which can be made. And the reason why the ancients often chose to reference a geocentric astronomical perspective is, of course, because they believed, or perhaps we could tentatively suggest that they understood, that our universe is gyroscopic. So the Sun orbits the Earth, and the Earth orbits the Sun. We choose a relevant frame of reference for the task at hand, and then we discuss these gyroscopic orbits using that chosen frame of reference as our anchor point. And the geocentric model is very useful in discussing most things related to Earth, although other models clearly have their equally important place in modeling and understanding the harmonic mechanics of the greater universe. And I also need to note that I'm going to be using the sidereal zodiac in this video, simply because I'm more familiar with it from previous research. And Cosmic Watch displays the tropical zodiac by default, but depending on what system you're familiar with or which you're investigating, you can go and change the views in the About menu, Advanced Settings, and you can change between
Oh, no, I'm actually on tropical zodiac there. We're going back to sidereal. There we go. So you can change that yourself if you need. And towards the celestial North Pole here, you can see the Tropic of Cancer, this line. And towards the South Pole down here, we can see the Tropic of Capricorn. And with the celestial equator marked there neatly between the two. If we gently spin our cosmic sphere, we can see the ecliptic, the light blue line, the clearly defined celestial band or plane on which the sun, moon, and planets can be seen making their harmonically timed journey through the zodiac. And we can see that the ecliptic is on an angle to the axis of the rotation of the Earth itself. So if we speed up time, let's do that, we can see that the planets oscillate between the two tropics of Cancer and Capricorn in cycles, and it's very reminiscent of a cyclic spherical AC sine wave, which doesn't exist, but you know. And I encourage you to also check out the Antipodean Astro calendar, in which Brian Keats demonstrates these concepts in another simple form that's really easy to digest and understand. And you can also find a video on my channel going through the calendar step by step and explaining the rhythms from this perspective and how they relate to the lunar and solar cycles, which are used for agricultural crop planting. So check out the link to his website and where you can get that calendar if you would like to check that out. So now we can go and turn on our seasonal clock view in Cosmic Watch, and we can witness how the sun moves through autumn and winter and spring and summer, and also, so here's our sun there. If we speed it up a bit more, we can see it moving there, but also how it oscillates between the two tropics as it takes its journey there. So you'll see that it goes on this axis to the tropics, moving between the two, creating our seasons. And these seasons on the clock there are probably going to be based on my location in Victoria, Australia. So from this incredibly simple example, we can already see how space, time, and our night sky are really deeply intertwined subjects. We can further divide the band of the ecliptic into months by turning on this year view here, and we can see the complete cycle of the year with the sun moving through those months. And once again, based on my own location in this example. And then if we switch to Cosmic Watch's time view, so that's up here, we can further divide the ecliptic into days, or in this case, a clock face divided into the 24 hours that we can use to keep time on Earth. So here's our clock face. We can always turn off our seasons so we can see it a little clearer there. And we can put our time on there to see this clock in action. Although the gyroscopic dance of the sun and the earth causes the timing of the seasons and the divisions of the days, the moon acts similarly. As it travels its own diameter of 2,160 miles each hour during orbit around the Earth, the moon also traverses the celestial clock face, acting as a metronome, harmonically tuned to the movements of the Earth and the sun, and to those of time itself, as it's perceived from our frame of reference on Earth. So we can see our moon moving really slowly. Oh, sorry, there we go. If we move it up, here it is rushing around. I can turn the label on so that you can clearly see where it is, so you're not seeing me pointing. So there's our moon acting as a metronome. And if we want to pause time, we'll bring it back to regular time. So if we turn to zodiac view, just here, and we turn back on our ecliptic clock face, there it is. We can see the clock face marked out in Cosmic Watch is not using the same reference point for the divisions of the 24-hour clock face that Malcolm's using in the PUM. Currently, the reverse engineering of ancient time systems and modern time systems through astronomical modeling is still in its infancy, and even if we all end up agreeing on an appropriate base numerical system for a certain task, there's always ultimately going to be different reference points that we can take as our starting point, depending on where we're coming at the theory from or what we're using it to discern. However, varying reference points for 24 hours and 0 hours aside, Cosmic Watch's time views clearly demonstrate the same principles Malcolm's employed in constructing the PUM, and it gives us a really good visual point for further investigation into the numbers in the PUM based on advanced astronomical observation and modelling. And while we're still here in Zodiac view, I'll quickly explain another concept with Cosmic Watch that many people have perhaps not seen shown so simply before. So we can also turn on the Zodiac constellation view, and then we will see the star constellations themselves. So we'll turn on Zodiac. There, we can see them around the band. We could turn off the Zodiac view band if we want, but you can see our 12 signs of the Zodiac situated along the ecliptic there. The Sun, Moon, and the planets process through the 12 constellations, or what we've classified as the 12 zodiac signs, on their cyclic journey around the ecliptic. As we delve deeper into understanding how our ancient mathematical concepts of time were constructed based on the harmony of the spheres, we continue to discover the base 24 counting system is absolutely integral to our understanding of time as a dimension, and that our division of time is not arbitrary either. It's based on observable harmonic astrophysical phenomena such as the movement of the Sun and the Moon in miles over one Earth day, and these distances in miles as shown on the PUM. They're all harmonics themselves of the diameters of the Sun, Moon, and Earth, and the ratio and distance between them in the solar system. 2,160 is the diameter of the Moon in miles and the distance it travels in 1 hour. So this equals 24 times 90, or 12 times 180. And 864,000 miles, the diameter of the Sun, is 24 times 36,000. And we'll get back to those numbers later. And I want to apologize for all these crows in the background. Australia, the land of birds.
If we remember back to our first part in the PUM series, I explained that in the system of mathematics Malcolm has used in the PUM, which he refers to as Sanskrit mathematics, as well as other base systems of mathematics, both alternative and conventional, the zeros simply represent amplification or orders of magnitude. When we see 864,000, we know this number is a certain order of magnitude above the harmonic base number of 864. So we'll continuously see that 864 and the other key numbers on the PUM come up again and again in our cyclic exploration. Their level of amplification in reference to each other denoted by the zeros and the decimals. Therefore, when we see a number like 36,000, this is 3 orders of magnitude above the number 36 and 2 orders of magnitude above 360. As we perceive it through the lens of the Plasmoid Unification model, these 36 base numbers all share an octave harmonic relationship with each other, not just mathematically, but in observable physics of our solar system. Let's quickly run through some numbers based on and expanded from the periphery of the PUM and Malcolm's notes, starting with some numbers we've already discussed and also pushing the boundaries a little deeper, so you can begin to catch the cyclic harmonic numbers in their various orders of magnitude as we encounter them repeatedly through the future videos. Going back to the base 24 counting system, which we use to calculate Earth time, one Earth day is divided into 24 hours. 24 hours equals 1,440 minutes, which is the base number 144 representing light, which we've already spoken briefly about and we'll get into a little more later. 1,440 minutes equals 86,400 seconds. 864, the base number of the diameter of the Sun again. 12 hours equals 720 minutes, 72 being related to the Vesica Pisces, which we'll get to later. And 720 minutes equals 432,000 seconds, 432,000 being the radius of the Sun again there. We can see another harmonic conversion method hidden within our base counting systems for time if we shift the base numbers fractally through the different units for time: years, days, minutes, seconds, and arc seconds, etc. These harmonic unit divisions themselves are repeating, and we could continue to make smaller or larger divisions on any scale of our universal fractal based on our desired reference point in space-time. The precession of the Moon around Earth. So the moon traverses 51,840 miles over 24 hours, so a full day cycle, and it traverses 25,920 miles over 12 hours, so a half day cycle, and 2,160 miles over 1 hour, and that's also the moon's diameter. We find variations of the same familiar numbers again if we take 51,840 seconds, and 5184 is a very important base number which Malcolm claims represents time itself in numbers. So we'll see 518,400 denoting time, 4D, on the PUM, and we'll also see why exactly he uses 518,400 seconds specifically here shortly. So if we convert the unit from miles to minutes, we have 51,840 seconds, or 864 minutes, which is also 14.4 hours, a variation of 144 light again there. 51,840 is a symmetrical harmonic frequency of 25,920, our great year number, and 25,920 seconds equals 432 minutes, the radius of the sun and the relation to our concert pitch musical frequency again. 432 minutes equals 7.2 hours, so our 7.2 again being the number which relates and represents the Vesica Pisces. Half of 25,920 seconds equals 12,960 seconds. 12,960 seconds equals 216 minutes, 216 being a harmonic number of the moon's diameter in miles. Half of 12,960 seconds equals 6,480 seconds. 6,480 seconds equals 108 minutes, which is a harmonic of the moon's radius and the ratio between the sun, earth, and moon again there. We convert the unit variable to hours now, and we get 25,920 hours, and that equals 1,080 days, so another harmonic of the moon's radius, 108. You convert it to days and we get 25,920 days, and that equals 72 years again, a Vesica Pisces number. And then if we take 51,840 again and we add an order of magnitude to get 518,400, we'll have Malcolm's number representing time itself on the PUM. So 518,400 seconds equals 8,640 minutes, our sun diameter number. 8,640 minutes equals 144 hours, our light number. 144 hours equals the 6 days of creation spoken of in the Bible and the Christian tradition. And however, if we go the other way, and we divide 518,000 seconds into arc seconds, the next quantum time unit division after seconds, we get 311,040,000 arc seconds. And curiously, if we increase the order of magnitude by adding another 6 zeros to this number, we get 311,040,000,000,000. And this is recorded in the ancient Vedic scriptures as being the number of Earth years in the lifetime of Brahma. And if we switch from minutes and seconds to the Vedic measurements, we'll find that the conversion remains seamless. The lifetime of Brahma, 311,040,000,000,000 Earth years, can also be written as 100 years of Brahma. And so his lifetime consists of 100 years, 100 years of Brahma. 1 year of Brahma is then 3,011,040,000,000 Earth years, or 8,640,000,000 Daiva Varsha, our Vedic unit of measurement here. 1 year of Brahma equals 360 days and nights of Brahma, and 1 day and night of Brahma equals 8.64 billion Earth years, or 24 million Daiva Varsha. So dividing the complete day and night of Brahma into its two equal halves, we get the separate divisions of the day and the night of Brahma, 4.32 billion Earth years, or 12 million Daiva Varsha each. This can also be referred to in another Vedic unit for dividing time, a kalpa. So 4.32 billion Earth years equals 1 kalpa. Equal also to 1 kalpa, there are 1,000 Maha Yuga cycles. A yuga is a unit of measurement for time that's really commonly used throughout the Vedic literature. So 1,000 Maha Yugas is equal to 4.32 billion Earth years, or 1 kalpa, 1 day of Brahma, just the half of the full day and night. One Maha Yuga is then equal to 4,320,000 Earth years, or 12,000 Daiva Varsha. And then each Maha Yuga contains 4 divisions of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga lasts 432,000 years, Dwapara Yuga lasts 864,000 years, Treta Yuga is 1,296,000 years, and Satya Yuga is 1,728,000 years. So this order is in reverse, so you'll notice that the yugas halve in length each time the wheel progresses. So 432,000 is the base number here, and 36 Daiva Chakra, we can say. And we could divide the yugas into further divisions, and we could go on and on and on and on, and find all of the same numbers in the Plasmoid Unification model used prolifically by the ancient mathematicians of the East, the Daiva Varsha being their basic quantum standard of time. Back to 36 and 360 though, if you can still remember these important numbers from earlier when we were discussing 24 hours and 864, the diameter of the Sun number.
Back to Cosmic Watch for a moment. We can see here an example of the ecliptic being now divided into 360 degrees instead of 24 hours if we put on the horizontal coordinates view. So we commonly use these 36 points to divide a circle into the equal parts of our compass, and from there we can map out our cardinal directions or perform other geometric operations.
But going back to the circle for a moment, let's briefly introduce a few important harmonic correlations between sacred geometry and some of the other concepts contained within the cipher of the Plasmoid Unification model. I'm going to heavily reference Randall Carlson, a true master of geometry, for this section. I learned a lot of these methods from his podcast and his sacred geometry course on HowTube, and I'll quote him directly in some parts, as there's no way I can really make it sound any more clear and precise than Randall already has. And I'll link to both of those references in the description as usual. So we'll begin with a point made by our compass, a frame of reference, a 0 point or singularity. And then we calculate a radius by adjusting our compass, and we draw a circle representing the ether, unity and infinity, the monad. By choosing a new point on the circumference of the circle to place our compass, we can draw in a second circle, using the first circle and its radius as our guide. The circle of unity bifurcates, forming a replica of itself, which translocates in any direction a length equal to its radius. The overlap of the two circles forms the Vesica Pisces, the dyad, represented on the PUM by the numbers 72. I can't say I understand this representation in the numbers yet, but we can find 432 minutes in 7.2 hours, and 720 minutes in 12 hours, and half of 144 is 72, so I'm sure I'll puzzle out 72's place in the web and its relation to the Vesica Pisces all in good time. In the words of Randall Carlson, the Vesica is the womb of all geometry. From this figure emerges the entire edifice of planar and solid geometry, and the archetypal matrix upon which the three worlds are built. It's also the supreme symbol of the feminine. The intersectional points of the horizontal mirror plane of the Vesica forms two new points. This line, the line of centers, structurally links the two circles. Taking these two new points, and dividing the symmetrical horizontal plane and also the top point of the Vesica that we already had before, we can draw in two more equilateral radii to make a total of 3, which forms an equilateral triangle, symbol of the creative trinity, the triad. We can draw in a second equilateral triangle base to base with the first to form a rhombus with a width to length ratio of 3:1, the first manifestation of dynamic symmetry. A line between the two circles' intersection points is perpendicular to the line of centers and forms with it the right-angled cross. The Vesica Pisces generates both the right-angled cross and the equilateral triangle and symmetrical rhombus from its initial points and symmetrical plane. The cross, formed within the Vesica Pisces, then establishes the length-to-width ratio of the dynamic root-3 rectangle, the tetrad. According to Randall, the root-3 rectangle provided the fundamental module for much of the world's sacred art and architecture, and it is of course worth noting that it's the traditional shape of a door or an entryway, well-sized for a human being. The angles defined by these sacred geometry crystal structures are the cause of the harmonic frequency or spectrum of matter and the harmonic table of the elements represented on the Plasmoid Unification model. As an additional note, we can also introduce another circle with a diameter equal to the width of the vesica, with its center upon the crossing of the horizontal and vertical axes. This is called the quartering of the circle, and it's from here that we can move back onto the topic of our astronomical divisions, with these 4 points traditionally representing the 2 solstices and the 2 equinox to our ancient architects and masons. The Vesica Pisces is the keystone of sacred geometry and ancient architecture, and as one example, the ground plane of the cathedral plans are determined by the Vesica Pisces. I encourage anyone who's interested in learning more about sacred geometry and its direct applications in astronomy, architecture, and building to sign up to Randall's course on HowTube and get up to speed on the topic. As I say, he's a real master of the art and also a patient and easy to follow teacher as well. To further start to form a picture of how circles and rectangles translate to resonant frequency and matter on the PUM, we can take our 360 degrees of arc on the compass. This can be further quantized into 21,600 minutes of arc, just as we do with time. Remember that the 216 here, the 216, is our moon diameter number occurring again. So 21,600 minutes of arc can be further divided into 1,296,000 seconds of arc. 1,296,000 seconds is also Malcolm's number on the PUM, representing the resonant frequency energy unit, which can be used to calculate the harmonic resonant frequencies in the PUM table of the elements. We might finish up here in part 3 of the series. We still have a lot more to discuss in the area of sacred geometry and its relation to the harmonic table of the elements on the PUM, and also Malcolm's toroidal model of the elements, which we've not even touched on at all yet. There's some other graphics and models there. And we also haven't got to where we can find the numbers further in ancient architecture or art yet, as we said we would, but I thought it was important to build on these foundations further so that we can better understand the significance when we get there. So you'll find that if you've taken in everything that we've discussed so far in the first 3 parts of my series on this, the periphery blocks of the PUM should be becoming more familiar and readable. We haven't discussed 144,000, the angular velocity of light in geometric terms much yet, nor have we fully explored the significance of the Mod 9 counting system and the number 9 itself, although I'm sure anyone who's previously watched any of my videos on vortex-based mathematics probably has some idea of its importance already. But if you take another look at time, 518,400 block, and the Sun, 864,000 block, you should clearly see the numbers and conversions I've been referencing in their expanded form, condensed into Malcolm's tables. And as I've pointed out before, these numbers are holographic fractals. We can start anywhere and we can end up anywhere else. Enjoy bending your mind around all of that until the next video, deciphering the Plasmoid Unification model part 4 right here on Alchemical Science. And thanks again to Malcolm Bendall for spending the time to tutor me on some of these concepts. They're really pretty difficult to grasp initially, but once you find your point of reference in the harmonic holographic fractal of numbers, it's pretty hard to unsee the blatant harmonic intervals and ratios that he's condensed into the Plasmoid Unification model. So thanks for watching and good luck!